Again?
One, two, three. Yeah.
Good evening, and welcome to Night 2 of the Allegany County Chamber of Commerce Candidate Forums for the 2022 primary elections on July 19th, 2022. The forums have been made possible by Allegany Media and WFWM. I am Julie McCoy, Executive Director of the Allegany County Chamber of Commerce, and I thank you to Jeremy Irons, Chairman of the Chamber's Legislative Committee, who helped to moderate last evening's forums. We're pleased to use technology to make these forums available virtually in addition to in person. Tonight, we will hear from candidates running for District 1 Senate and County Commissioner. First up is District 1 Senate. We have two Republican candidates that will appear on the primary ballot, Jake Shade and Mike McKay. All candidates will be given the same questions and have the same amount of time to answer. We'll provide a 20-second notice as time is expiring, and we will alternate which candidate answers first. Questions were formulated based on the work and priorities of the Chamber with input from the general membership and have not been shared with candidates in advance. Let's begin. We'll start with you, Mr. McKay. Please tell us about yourself and what qualifies you to represent District 1 as a senator in Maryland.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the Chamber for hosting these important debates as we decide who is going to be the next senator representing District 1, Garrett, Allegany, and Washington County. I am Mike McKay, born and raised in Montgomery County, but moved to Cumberland approximately 24 years ago. Married a local girl, and we have 8 children, and we reside in Cumberland, Maryland. I am the local dry cleaner, so if your clothes aren't becoming to you, they should be coming to me. So I am a local business person who got his first feet wet in the Allegany County Chamber of Commerce. I'm a past chamber president as well as chairman and president of the Board of Chamber of Commerce. Had an opportunity to become a Allegany County Allegany County Commissioner in 2010. Through that election, had the opportunity then for the vacating delegate Leroy Myers to run in 2014 to become a member of the House of Delegates representing Allegany and Washington County, and then was reelected in 2018. What qualifies me is my experience at the local level with business, then as a county commissioner, and then 8 years serving in the House of Delegates. I serve on the Appropriations Committee, Public Safety Administration, and Capital. These things talk about experience, and that's why I believe I qualify to represent District 1 as your next senator in Maryland. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. I'm Jake Shade. For the last 8 years, I've been president of the Allegany County Board of Commissioners, lifelong resident here of Western Maryland and Cumberland. And I'm doing this because it's very important for our area. You know, we only get one senator in Annapolis. Other counties have a bunch of senators. Montgomery has a bunch. We only get one. And it's so important that you have an effective person down there that's going to represent us both politically and then also to get the funding back. You know, Senator Edwards was very, very good for us. And so I'm very concerned with the future. We have to be set up so no matter who the governor is, we're getting our fair share out of Annapolis. Unfortunately, I don't think that's happening. I've yet to meet anyone. You know, we've been campaigning now for almost a year that thinks we're getting our fair share out of Annapolis. Annapolis is broken. The General Assembly's broken. If you don't think it is, the gas tax is going up 6.6 cents on Friday. It's totally out of control, and the Democrats have a supermajority. It must be stopped. It simply has to be stopped. So look, we need 4 seats in the Senate. We'll have a 2-party state. We'll be able to stop the Democrats' supermajority and have actual compromise. I mean, that's what we need in the state of Maryland. We need both parties to work together. You don't need these radical ideas. I mean, they're anti-energy, they're anti-police, they're anti-everything that our area supports. So, you know, I'm going to build on what I've done as county commissioner. You know, we had a $4.2 million surplus this year. Biggest in history. We were able to cut taxes for the first time since 1998. You know, we support the police. Everything that Annapolis has done wrong, we're doing right in Allegany County, and we'll talk about more of that tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. This next question is just 1 minute for an answer. How have you engaged yourself in major community issues and development that ensures you will take these concerns to Annapolis, speaking for the people you might serve? Jake, we'll start with you.
Well, you know, I talk to a ton of people, and so as a representative, you know, you're also informing people of what's going on, and I think that's part of our problem locally is. Our engagement sometimes is focused on a lot of negative stuff instead of a lot of the positive stuff that's happening. You know, so there's more to throwing up your hands and saying, well, you know, that can't be done. It's impossible. We're not even going to try. All of this stuff is possible. You know, if we would have sat here a couple years ago and said, look, Maryland's going to get concealed carry here in the next couple months. George Edwards is going to get us $50 million for economic development. We're going to have a brand new high school. FedEx is going to be building the biggest new building since 2004. You probably would have said you're crazy. All this stuff can happen with effective leadership, and that's what I'm going to bring.
Well, thank you, Julie, for the question. So when I got into public service and becoming an elected official, I prayed about it. And one of the things that I believe the Lord gives us is gifts, different spiritual gifts. And my gift is serving people. And I happen to be in a role where I get the opportunity to serve you, the citizens of Allegany and Washington County, in the House of Delegates. The Lord also gave me 2 ears and 1 mouth. That means I need to listen before I speak. And I need to do exactly what I did as a county commissioner by attending the meetings for the town and municipalities on a bi-monthly basis, and then as a delegate attending the meetings of the municipalities and towns that I serve. Not as somebody who has all the answers, but willing to listen and help those where the rubber meets the road at our local municipalities and towns. Thank you.
Thank you. Another 1 minute question, and this time we'll start with you, Mike. As a senator, how would you expect local preference bills be handled?
That's so local preference bills, we have in the General Assembly has attacked that from Washington County. They have tried to pass bills where it would give preferred status to somebody within the county. That is a double-edged sword. While that may give preferred within the county, the problem is that we are so close to the other states, and we would not want those regional areas to do the exact same thing. So the free market should be left to the free market, and those with the sharpened pencil and the best price can then put in for whatever RFP that comes out, and it speaks to local preference.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. We got to look at local preference. The other thing I'd like to see, you know, some of these small minority business contracts that we have to give on construction projects, you know, we're not close to Baltimore, so that's inflating the cost of some of our projects. You know, those construction companies just aren't located here. So we've run into that before at the county. Those are the kind of things that, you know, we should be able to be seeking waivers for, especially as a county that's, you know, we've lost population, same with Garrett County. We're not the same as the rest of Maryland. So look, you know, there's different regulations that need to be different for different areas of the state. Happens with economic development. It can absolutely happen on local bid preference and those sorts of things.
Thank you. This is a 2-minute question, and Jake will bounce this one back to you first. 2022 saw the passing of the Western Maryland Economic Future Investment Board and Fund, now named in honor of Senator Edwards. The fund will provide a key tool to all 3 Western counties in attracting businesses and ultimately jobs. If elected, what would be your key focus in regards to economic development in District 1 at the state level?
So 2 things. I was able to serve on that task force that eventually came up with the recommendations to bring $50 million over the next few years here. Unheard of. Hats off to Senator Edwards. I mean, it is a huge sum of money. I don't think anyone appreciates, you know, this wasn't going anywhere else. This was going to just Western Maryland. And so it shows how effective Senator Edwards is. So what we need to do locally, you know, at Allegany County, we overhauled how we do economic development, how we reach out, and you're starting to see that growth. You know, you're starting to see not just retail, but bigger things like FedEx coming in, 190,000 square foot facility, biggest thing since 2004. The state needs to be a partner. You know, they keep buying all of our land, over 160,000 acres of land in Allegany and Garrett County, and they keep buying more and more and more, and then once it goes off, it's off the tax rolls. They don't want us to use energy. They don't want us to use Maryland energy. So they need to do more. They need to actually step up because they are inhibiting our growth in those 2 ways. So the biggest thing we can do besides commerce stepping up is we need more government jobs. We need the state to expand. You know, you can look at DNR, you can look at whatever you want, but we don't have the quality state jobs here that we need. And so whether that's hiring more people at the prison, whether that's expanding DNR, whether that's expanding Frostburg State University, those are the things you can do as senator that has an actual impact and steer those state dollars and state jobs out this way.
So there's no doubt about it. The delegation and Maryland as a whole hit a home run when we passed the Senator Edwards Western Maryland Economic Future Investment Board. And kudos to the members of the board that created that. I also think we need to give credit to Delegate Jason Buckle, who on the House side did a yeoman's job in making sure that that gets passed. But now the light is on us. The spotlight is on us of what we are going to do with that $50 million. Well, obviously, we need to look at infrastructure. We need to look at biotech, cyber jobs, encouraging entrepreneurship. But more especially, we need to be able to look at one of the positives that has come from the pandemic, and that is that people can remotely work here in Western Maryland live here and play here, and we need to be able to piggyback those people to come to Garrett, Allegany, and Washington County. One of the major things that I think that needs to happen, that when Senator Edwards is looking for something to do, I'm sure hoping that the either one of the boards of county commissioners, Garrett, Allegany, or Washington County, go ahead and appoint him to that board, because I think to have the captain at the ship to be able to direct it, to make sure that 4 or 5 years from now, when the next senator and the next delegation is trying to defend that money to possibly go statewide to other areas, that's what's going to be key. And so the spotlight is on us. We have to develop results. We've got an opportunity that comes in a lifetime, and I look forward to helping with us move Western Maryland forward.
Thank you. This question is also 2 minutes, and Mike, we'll start with you for this one. The COVID-19 pandemic proved to create an appreciation for the rural area in which we live. How do you propose we capitalize on that for population growth?
Well, one of the things that we did in the General Assembly is we passed the Great Outdoors Act, where we are putting record funding into our state parks for all the critical backlog of maintenance. You can go to any of our state parks. We know that we need to hire more state rangers, but you can see that there's some areas that are in dilapidation and need infrastructure to be fixed. As I mentioned in the other question, we need to use the appreciation or use COVID-19 for what good did come from it and attract these people to actually relocate to Western Maryland. As somebody who relocated his family from Western Maryland 24 years ago, I've come to appreciate what my wife, who was born and raised here in Cumberland, has always known, that this was a great place to work, raise a family, and create the next cycle of families living in Western Maryland. So I tend to believe that it's important that we focus that, make sure that it is, take every opportunity to take census to find out why people are here, and then attract them and figure out and put those two together as a yin and a yang to make sure that we can take advantage of the three: work, play, and live here in Western Maryland.
Well, I think one of the major things we need is new single-family housing, townhouse housing. There is such a lack of new builds in Allegany County. Part of that, they keep putting these mandates on, sprinkler mandate, and that adds $15,000 or $20,000 to every single-family home. But that's what we're working on. The county got the Allegany High School site, and that's the plan for a lot of that area will be single-family homes and townhomes. But the pandemic, it's absolutely been good for our area in the sense of people moving from the urban areas out here, because I think they see a place with very low crime. There's very low, your commute is easy, but we have to make sure, there's stuff in place, whether it's internet, whether it's the amenities, not just we're talking stores and stuff, but having a nice downtown, having a sense of community. So it's both of those things. And I think that's why, you see Cumberland doing some of these projects. It's so important to have kind of a community center. And whether it's in Cumberland or Frostburg or Oakland, all these places are seeing growth of new people come into the area. But it has to be people we want. We want good tax-paying people who are going to come here, and whether it's their second home or first home, that's fine. But we don't just want a bunch of people who are just going to show up here and not really contribute much to the community or tax base. And so that's very important.
Thank you. This question has a little bit of framing to it, and we'll have a 2-minute answer. Jake, we'll start with you. Broadband is still lacking in parts of Allegany County. Although Governor Hogan announced funding and a promise to have Maryland 100% covered by 2026, the geographic terrain and added cost to do so in some areas will serve as ongoing challenges to make that happen in the promised timeframe without a truly dedicated provider. Allegany County, through its Connect Allegany grant program, has taken some steps to bring difficult-to-reach areas online. as a necessary utility? What else can be done to get currently offline areas of the county connected?
Well, so part of what the county did with all of this COVID stimulus money, the ARPA or whatever, we wanted to put it right back in the community as quickly as we could. So Connect Allegany you're talking about is the broadband piece. It's $1 million. We also did our Invest Allegany, which was for older blighted properties, to get them back up, and they need significant investment. So both those programs are just unique to Allegany County, and I can't stress that enough. This isn't something that every county's doing. We made a conscious decision at the county to broadband is important, and we need to invest in this. So what we did, we turned this upside down, because before it was kind of, we're going to do it and everyone else can figure it out. This pot of money with the Connect Allegany, it says, look, you come and give us projects, the internet service providers, you tell us how many people you can hook up, and then we'll decide whether we're going to fund it or not. There's also a pot of money in there for people, maybe your street lacks connectivity. You get a quote for $20,000 for the whole street. The county's going to pay 50% of that. It's a one-time thing. But those are the kind of things, it's getting tougher and tougher, because, a lot of the places that were easy to get broadband to have already been done. So now it's just smaller pockets of, kind of single homes or single streets, or it's very spread out. So that's what we're doing, but it's so important, especially as more and more people work from home. We saw in the pandemic, as kids were home from school, how important an internet connection will be. Let's hope we never have to go through that again, but absolutely.
So I think the number one issue that we have to, as adults, as leaders in the county, is that we have to understand that broadband is just as important as water, sewer, and roads. We have to come together as the entities that represent the people of Allegany County and know that we have to be committed to this, that every part of the county matters and has to have some form of broadband, whether it be line of sight, whether it be traditional fiber being laid, or wireless fix. Working with the Maryland Broadband Cooperative, there are lots of opportunities for our citizens to actually pull those resources, but I don't believe there's been a good communication and understanding all of the different opportunities that are available. So there again, that's something we need to work on. 2 years ago, we got $300 million that was put towards broadband for the state of Maryland. $5.2 million of it was already towards projects in Garrett, Allegany, and Washington County. So I think local government as well as state government has been doing a good job. But until we decide that broadband is equal foot as water, sewer, and roads, we're just trying to put a Band-Aid on it. Those are the tough decisions that as a leader we are going to have to make. They're not always popular, but it is something that needs to happen to make sure that Western Maryland is relevant going forward.
Thank you. This is a 2-minute question. Aside from outdoor recreation, what do you see as some of the key assets in our region, and how should we capitalize on them? Mike, that will go to you first.
Thank you. So obviously, outdoor recreation we've talked about, but I think one of the key assets of our region, which attracted someone like me to bring my family here, was our school system. I think it is our communities, that they are safe. It is the overall love that the community has in welcoming everybody from the state of Maryland. And I tend to believe that having an open door, making sure that Sidling Hill is open for all to come, is how we make sure that our region grows. It's kind of like a balloon. There's only a certain amount of air that's in a balloon. If you want that balloon to grow, you have to put more air into it. And to do that, we've got to identify those people that have come out here to play, come out here to visit, and now we need to be able to convince them to come and relocate and work here and become part of our community.
Yeah, I think we have tremendous opportunities. I would rather have our region's hand to play than almost anywhere else in the state. But look, we have to be more integrated with the state of Maryland. We have to get state jobs. We need to have commerce be more engaged in bringing projects out here to our part of Maryland. You know, if we want to see the growth that places like Hagerstown and Frederick get, we have to be more involved in the state of Maryland. We have to have people bringing projects back. We have to have people constantly down there working it. And so, you know, that's why it's so important to have elected officials that are committed to that, committed to being in the state of Maryland. And if you don't want to be, then, you know, I don't know what to tell you. Because this is not something to be fooled around with. You either want to be committed to the state of Maryland or you don't want to be committed. And for me, there's no question. That's the best way forward. You know, I don't think we get our fair share from Annapolis, but it's not sticking your tail between your legs and going off somewhere else. It's advocating again and again and again and again and saying, look, we have different issues than the rest of Maryland. We have a declining population. We're two of the only counties in the state with a declining population. We have older infrastructure. You know, these are bipartisan issues that, you know, whether you're in Baltimore City or out here, you know, we're both having declining populations. So you look at the regulatory regime, you look at how we do economic development, and I think you could create two separate classifications on regulatory, economic development, and a lot of other stuff.
Thank you. Jake, we'll start with you on this one. Another 2-minute question. As the single senator west of Hagerstown, how would you, if elected, work to ensure that the voice of such a large geographic area is heard and has an impact in Annapolis?
Kind of like what I said before, you know, I've been president of the county commissioners. You represent a large swath of people. You're never going to make everyone happy. You know, we went through this thing called COVID-19, and you know, you had some people who I'll tell you didn't believe it, and you had other people who I would say still want to be locked down. And so, as the county, we tried to take the middle part of this is what the average person, the median person in Allegany County would think is the best thing to do. You know, we got schools open as soon as we could. We got the masks off as soon as we could. And, you know, I think for the most part, you ignore all of this chatter on Facebook, and most people are on board with that. They're on board with that. And the same thing with being senator. You know, I think you have to ignore some of the loud stuff on social media, and you actually have to have a plan. You actually have to have ideas. You know, with Senator Edwards leaving, 40 years in Annapolis, 16 years as our state senator, you know, Allegany County has the chance to have their first state senator in 16 years. I mean, what an incredible opportunity for us. I plan to treat all of Western Maryland equal just because, you know, we only get one state senator. And so it's so important you have someone who's going to advocate for that. And, you know, I'm still frankly concerned over the whole West Virginia thing. I think it hurts us tremendously. I think the fact that we would go to Charleston without telling anyone, and then the next year come back and put our hand out for money, I don't think it's going to work. I don't think you can be an effective representative and get money from the state of Maryland when you don't want to be part of the state of Maryland.
So I think that the best way to make sure that our voice is heard and an impact in Annapolis is walking the walk. As a member of the delegation, I have represented all of Allegany and Washington County, and I have been at every chicken dinner, every community event. Heck, if you get invited to a birthday party, I'm coming to your birthday party. And why? That's because I want to hear what the constituents have to say and get a pulse of what's happening in all of District 1. Whether it be from Friendsville to Williamsport, I'm committed to being a full-time senator. Very similar to the way that I ran as a delegate and then also as a county commissioner. One of the things that I've done as a delegate is that I've presented a 90-day report to each and every town and municipality and boards of county commissioners that will allow me to tell the folks what exactly I did as your representative in Annapolis. We would list all the bills, all of our third reader votes and how, if that bill passed or not, and how we voted. I pledge to meet with each and every town and municipality 3 times a year. One isn't just in a general, but one is a pre-legislative meeting and then a post-legislative meeting. So whether you're in Garrett County, down in Kitzmiller, which recently they had told me that they hadn't seen a delegate or senator in a very long time and welcomed me to be at their homecoming and then at their town meeting to discuss what was going on. Or whether it be Allegany, where the people know who I am and have seen me day in and day out, first as their county commissioner and then as a member of the delegation. And then the people of Washington County, whether they're in Big Pool, Clear Spring, those are the ways that I will continue to make sure that they're heard in Annapolis and their impact is as big as possible.
Thank you. This question is a 2-minute answer. The 2022 session saw the passing of significant environmental legislation. Recognizing that Western Maryland industries will continue to be impacted, how will you work to be heard in Annapolis to ensure our local economy can meet and sustain new regulations? Furthermore, how will you communicate to your constituents in a direct way about these impacts?
So one of the ways that I have always been as full transparent with my constituents, whether it be the votes that I talked about during the 90-day session or using social media or my website to talk about different positions and policies that we have articulated. As for the regulations, we are part of Maryland. And those regulations, while one size did not fit all, I think it's important that the relationships that have been forged over the last 8 years as a member of the House of Delegates, as a member of the Appropriations, and to be frank, to be the only Republican in leadership in the Speaker's cabinet. While it's a very small leadership role, I am co-chair of the Economic Stability Work Group. What that tells you is that we are respected from the other side of the aisle, that we're able to identify the issues that are statewide, but more especially those statewide issues, how it affects our local economy. We've got to be able to be in those conversations. They need to know that we are serious, and I tend to believe it's important to send somebody who already has 8 years of experience. There is no time for on-the-job training as we go forward to replace the next senator. 40 years of George Edwards, 16 years of Delegate Wendell Beitzel. It is important that the people put together a team, that delegation, that will have the experience and the ability to run from day one to make sure that we get our fair share. Thank you.
I think the easiest way is you have a 2-tiered regulatory system. We already do that in economic development. Some counties are what they call preferred counties. They get extra help with economic development. There's no reason that can't be the same with state highway issues or fire marshal issues or whatever. Allegany County was the last county in the state of Maryland to have sprinklers not be required. Because we saw the impact, because we saw that if you keep putting these burdens on people, you're going to have less growth, you're going to have less development. And unfortunately, the state of Maryland's view is they don't care. They don't care about our area. They do not care whether we have growth or not. Unfortunately, that's how they view it. And so you have to have someone there who's going to advocate for that and not just be go along, get along. I was honored and Senator Edwards is lending me his support because he thinks I can be effective in making that case. And a lot of these things are not partisan issues, but when you go and you explain to people, look, we had a much bigger population 80 years ago in Cumberland than we do now. We have infrastructure that needs attention. Why are we playing under the same rules as Montgomery County? When you add $1 million to a project for economic development, whether it's, whatever, Starbucks or a retaining wall or whatever, those developers eat it. Out here, it can kill the project. You know, and so do you want this growth? Do you want this development? You see the state of Maryland's radical energy policies. You know, there was a bill this year that would have banned natural gas for all new homes, and they wanted restaurants to take it out. I mean, how crazy is that? I mean, that is just crazy. You can't have natural gas. So we need to tap into our resources we have here, whether it's wind, coal, solar, everything above. I mean, you see what Ukraine has done to our energy markets. If it's American energy, we need to be supportive of it.
Thank you. And that was our last question. We'll give each candidate 2 minutes to make some closing remarks. And Jake, we'll go ahead and start with you since you finished the last one.
Great. Thank you. This has been an eye-opening experience. You know, Senator Edwards was the first senator this year to announce his retirement last July, and I'd thrown away all my yard signs for county commissioner. I think if you haven't gotten something accomplished after 8 years, you're probably not going to get it done. So I had no plans to run again, and but I think it's so important that we have a senator who's able to be effective from day one. And that's what I want to offer. You know, I love this area. I see our potential. I can see the growth. I encourage everyone to check out my website, jakeshade.com. I have a lot of actual bills and policies and things that we're going to propose, you know, whether it's the MARC train or how we bring more state jobs here. Because it's so important. You know, like the one question said, we only get one state senator. You know, it's not like Annapolis or D.C. where you might have a knucklehead from one state and another person who gets stuff done. We only get one. And that's why it's so important. So, you know, if you want someone who's going to be honest, straightforward, solid conservative voice for our region, and that's why I'm running. I want to improve our area because I know it can be done, and I see it being done now. Thank you.
Well, thank you to Julie and the Chamber for putting this on. I think it's very important and it's appreciative. So I tend to believe that replacing a senator who's been there for 16 years, 24 years in the House of Delegates, that's 40 years. Delegate Beitzel having 16 years, that's 56 years that we are going to have an absence. This election, I firmly believe, is about experience. And experience matters. Looking out for all residents of District 1 is imperative. I think you need to look at endorsements. I am supported by Delegate Beitzel for my run to replace George Edwards, but I was also named Rural Health Legislator of the Year 2 years ago for the oral health work that we have done. Look, we were able to add in the Medicaid portfolio oral health. That has been a low-hanging fruit that has not been able to be done in 40 years. And it took a Republican House of Delegates member to work with the other side to get that done, where we didn't increase any taxes or fees, and we were able to make sure that 16% of Allegany County people now have some form of oral health coverage, 12% in Washington County and 14% in Garrett County. I believe endorsements matter more so than support. I've been endorsed by the NRA, endorsed by Right to Life. I've been endorsed by the Maryland Farm Bureau. I've got a 100% pro-business legislator from Maryland Free. I've been endorsed by the Allegany Garrett Fire Rescue Association. I've been endorsed by the Timber Association, Hunters of Maryland, Fort Hill Rifle Pistol Club, the Maryland Dental Association. These are people that are all parts of what make up our community, and they believe the most important endorsement I'm looking for is you, the voter, on July the 19th, and hopefully I'll have your endorsement to be the next senator representing the Republican nominee for State Senate covering Allegany, Washington, and Garrett County. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you to Ryan and Katie Brenneman at Allegany Media and to Chuck Dickin at WFWM for their partnership. Thank you to Jeremy Irons, the Legislative Committee Chairman. The Chamber could not bring this together without all of your talent and expertise. Thank you to our candidates for joining us, and I wish you all luck. Early voting begins July 7th and will run through July 14th. Election Day is July 19th, and you must vote at your assigned polling place. You can find all of this information at elections.maryland.gov. WFWM will air this forum on Wednesday, July 13th at 6 p.m. The Allegany County Chamber of Commerce encourages everyone to vote and to make informed decisions. Thank you and good night.